So ladies and gentlemen, we're into our last panel of the Blockchain Conference 2019, and this is the second Blockchain Conference. Some of you might be appearing here for the first time. They could have missed out on the first Blockchain Conference. Adaptability in Uganda has been quite slow because blockchain is still in its infancy stages, if you ask me, in majority of African countries. And I'll start with you, gentlemen from Centenary Bank. Mr. Biansi, you know that blockchain, for instance, when you talk about blockchain in this country, you're definitely talking about cryptocurrency to most people here, and yet the two are actually connected. But our people are still asking questions: is what is this? You're in the banking sector. The banking sector, the central bank, we know, has not yet well adopted these systems. It is a wait-and-see approach. And policies are yet to be put in place. There is interest, yes, but how ready is the banking sector in as far as preparing for the fourth industrial revolution is concerned?
Thank you very much. The banking sector, as you mentioned it, we deal with regulated business, we deal with policies and the like. However, we can't close our eyes and our ears to the new revolution of blockchain, cryptocurrencies and the like. Like everybody, we are enthusiastic. We are keeping our eyes open. We're watching what's happening because as you'll see and as we've all witnessed today and the day before, is that a lot is changing in this area and we're getting the information so that at the right time, as the banks, we will also be part of this.
Do you feel that we're being slow here? Do you feel that we're going to be playing catch-up in the next, for instance, 4 to 5 years, we're going to be playing catch-up because you have crypto funds already operating here. And, you know, blockchain enthusiasts in the city and conferences are happening, government agencies also, waiting to see what is going to happen. There is that need for us to move very fast because now technology and the innovations that are happening each and every day dictate that we really move very, very fast. Are banks ready to invest?
Right now, at this point in time, the banks are watching. The banks are not ready to invest because of the nature of the business, which is not backed up by any kind of securities. So it is a rather risky business, and as the space evolves, the banks will probably catch up with time. And we are a regulated business, and without regulations, we tend not to go into such space.
Fantastic, but what is the level of engagement between you and the central bank, the banking sector and the central bank? I believe there's that debate which is going on already, much as we know that nothing has been put in place so far. But the level of engagement, do you see a will, for instance, from the regulators to have blockchain or the new evolution in space?
Yeah, there's of course there's the willingness because as you well know, there's a committee that is actually researching on blockchain, and the technology is good, and many banks are actually looking at the technology. As of cryptocurrencies, that one is something that is done on an individual basis. Of course, I'm primarily a banker, but I also am an enthusiast in cryptocurrency. That's one of the reasons why I came here, so that I can relate with what is happening. Of course, until such a time when the banks are ready to take up that area of cryptocurrencies, we are more interested in the blockchain.
You're more interested in blockchain.
Yes.
Well, it is called technology with value,
exactly.
The new evolution.
Yes.
Fantastic. So let me turn to Adrian Jacuzzi from GWE. You are Global World Exchanges. Let's speak to you about what Europe has been able to do right, that Africa needs to do in its infant stages of trying to adopt to this new era, if you may.
Primero y principal, Global World Exchanges es una empresa que comercializa productos y servicios relacionados con un mundo cripto.
Okay, so GWE being a high-tech company that embraces and cherishes the blockchain technology, and develops and helps development of blockchain projects. Obviously, when we got the chance to bring also that knowledge to Uganda and to Africa, obviously we took the chance. And so GWE is giving the need support, and he's helping, he tries to help the development of this technology in this country and in Africa.
But how were Europeans, for instance, able to put regulations in place that quick? Was it a snap of the finger? Because we know you already smell the technology, you make the technology. How did it happen? Because our problem here is regulations, adaptability by government agencies. Because without regulations, without the policy framework, they cannot have these technologies in place running smoothly. It will only stay in tech-savvy people in the private sector who will be operating in the background. So how did your government do it? How fast was it? What was the adaptability? How did people really smell that?
So it's a fact that Europe and US are up front in this kind of situation. We got informed previously. But today it happens differently because with the internet and the global communication, things move fast. And so Africa has exactly the same opportunities as we in Europe or any part of the world, as long as you embrace it. And so as long as you are able to receive that information, the information circulates. So by the global technology and the global communication, Africa can have exactly at the same time the speed that we have over there. So
thank you, Armando. So let's now turn to you, Armando. In brief, really, because we're running out of time. The Africa's infrastructure is really very old. And old infrastructure takes time to catch up with new technologies. Infrastructure, internet infrastructure is actually capital intensive, meaning that it's a very big challenge. How do we play catch up in terms of infrastructure? Isn't that going to need huge amounts of investment and then thus leaving us behind? We really risk being leapfrogged by development.
Well, my personal opinion, without knowing in detail the capacity in terms of technological here in Africa, my belief is everything today is being centralized in a way that the technology is fast, first. Secondly, to embrace it, all you need is human capacity. I think that's the biggest resource you can have.
All right, thank you.
Because in terms of technical programming, you have excellent programmers in Uganda, for example, that I know. So it's just working on it. It's just to put your hands on it.
Put your hands on it.
Yes.
Armando Jorge from PowerMine. Paul, you're also from PowerMine, and you've been marketing. You were the first person, I think, locally to a female. You're the first female I met who tried to sell to me cryptocurrencies, which I already knew about, but you really insisted I must understand this. And you have spoken to very many people. What is the acceptability levels? What do people think? Don't they think this is alien? How many have you brought on board, for instance, in terms of females at least? Because men are really hard to convince.
Thank you, Malcolm. A pleasure to be here. I would like to say that the difference is information. What we see before and now was information, lack of information, and I believe that you accept that because 3 years back, I tried to engage you and this concept was kind of a mystery. But in the era of information and looking at what is happening here with all the information we've been given in the blockchain since last year and this year's blockchain, we realize that as information is being disseminated, people begin to accept. And I would like to tell you that we've traveled the few months throughout East Africa, and the level of acceptability is increasing. Why? Right now, with the PowerMine, we've been able to come up with a product called the security token. And we believe that one of the reasons why people were skeptical about this was the idea of security. And now with the third era of security, I'm telling you, it's like fire. For the past few weeks, I've been up and down. I've been having sleepless nights because there is a need for knowledge, and because now we are putting it there, there is information. Many people have come on board. Many ladies who want to change their families, bankers who are very skeptical. I have been to several banks, and believe me, people are loving the idea because of security.
We have to see whether they'll buy into that. They can come on board, but they're still, it's very hard to get money out of Ugandans,
But I'm a testimony to that, because you need to know the difference between the cryptocurrencies, which is a real idea but not yet regulated, and the security token that is regulated. So people are balancing it up and actually getting the idea, and many have signed up.
We're actually running out of time, but what would you say to the falling prices of Bitcoin? And we are in an information age, like you said, and people are reading. They're reading the falling price of Bitcoin each and every day. It keeps fluctuating, going up, going down. Money is wiped off people's off accounts in Europe each and every day. CEOs of major crypto firms are being arrested in New York because there are scams. There is that side of this technology that is still making it look so bad, and it's not going to go away. What would you say to people like that in 2 words as we move on to Efibi Festival?
Well, you have to understand that we are evolving. We start with ideas and they keep on evolving, and that's why we're in the third era called security tokens, which are backed by real assets and regulated. That's
Efibi Festival, you're a blockchain enthusiast. How can business models, for instance, evolve? We have business models that are completely different from European business models, the American business models. How can business models here adapt to be able to fit or suit today's needs?
Thank you. Well, I think business models will evolve or can evolve after they have learned exactly what this technology is.
Speak to the microphone, please.
They will evolve after they have learned exactly what this technology is about. So the first step in this development is learning exactly how the blockchain works, and how cryptocurrencies work, how security token works, how utility tokens also work. The technology is a very good development to the world because it brings out a lot of transparency through the business models that we have been seeing prior. However, there is still a lot of work to be done. There are still many good and reasonable questions to be asked and answered, and distributed ledgers are made ready for mainstream adoption. So, like I said earlier, they need to learn first the technology and then find out how they are going to merge this technology and make it useful to their businesses.
Useful to their businesses. Amanda, we still have prohibitive policies in most of these developing countries. Are they not a stumbling block? Are they not standing in the way of your aspirations? And this is a question to all of you as we close this session.
Yes, of course, there is a fight every day. Yeah, it's not easy to embrace what is new. But what we're feeling, everybody's feeling, is the minds are opening, and obviously that the struggle gets softer. Let's call it that way. But obviously, there's so many things and so many institutions against. But we are struggling every day.
Can you ask the same question to Jacuzzi?
Falta de conocimiento. A medida que vamos
So we think that the biggest barrier to overcome is knowledge. So as long as you overcome knowledge, when people get informed, these barriers will fall down. So basically, it's about knowledge.
Okay, and Mr. Bianzi from Centenary Bank, banks are still struggling to get used to the fact that, and this is the same question in line with policy. If I may put it a bit easy, banks are still trying to get used to the fact that mobile money is here, and they are creating agencies to bypass mobile money.
I told you there are about 1,000 cryptocurrencies. You don't know which one is a true cryptocurrency. You saw the statistics that about 97% of the cryptocurrencies or ICOs are fake, they are Ponzi schemes. So you don't know which one is correct.
That would be a debate for another day. I agree that blockchain would definitely work for banks because banks would like to know farmer information. Banks would like to know how they can lend to farmers because lending to farmers is very risky, and so they are looking for records, and so they are looking for information on how they can finance that sector. They say is really very difficult to lend to, and many other sectors as well. So thank you very much, Beyonce from Centenary Bank, Adrian Jacuzzi from BWB, and from Powermine, Amanda Adrian, Paul Businge from Powermine as well, and Festo Efive, a blockchain enthusiast on this last session of the blockchain conference, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.